Welcome, everyone. Joe with ECRM and RangeMe. And with me today is Alex Yale, who is the founder of Uncle Todd's, which makes products that clean everything in the home, as well as stinky shoes. So we're going to cover a lot of ground here. We're going to talk about the company, the products. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship because Alex is a relatively new entrepreneur, and a little bit about his success with RangeMe. So, Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And to start off, who is Uncle Todd?
Yeah, well, thanks, Joe, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to tell my story and hopefully inspire and educate, brands and customers alike. So, great question. Uncle Todd, the character sort of came from a close friend of mine growing up. His name was Todd. He was always the friend, the guy that I called when I had a problem at the house or related to maintenance or repairing something or construction related. He had a ton of experience, super handy. And so when I was coming up with the brand name, when I found my first product idea and I was trying to create a brand around it and aura around it, I thought I really had to pay homage to my friend Todd. So he is not my uncle. His name is Todd. But Uncle Todd's is sort of just trying to capture the spirit
Mhm,
of somebody you trust, right? Everybody has that friend, uncle,
mhm.
cousin, neighbor who something goes wrong in the house. If you're not the handiest of people, you call that person, right? And you say, hey, I've got a problem with my boiler. I've got
Yeah.
a problem with my septic tank. I've got a problem with my toilet. Before you call the plumber or the tradesperson, you call that person to seek advice. Somebody you know, somebody you trust, somebody who's probably going to give you a hard time at first,
Mhm.
but ultimately is going to come through and help you.
Yeah, it's one of those like, I got a guy. I got a guy that
Exactly.
could do it. Now,
Exactly.
is that him on the image that
That's not him. That's not him. So when we were trying to come up with like who is he, what does he look like?
Mhm,
Obviously, we thought about our target customer, our target demographic,
mhm,
and ultimately we went with a model that's a real model who we
mhm,
etched into being sort of the brand image. The
mhm,
reason we did that is because models are typically posed in video and still imagery, doing all kinds of things, right? Standing like this, or maybe holding a
mhm.
mop,
Right? You
holding a
got Mr.
paintbrush.
Clean. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And so by using a real person that we can then edit into sort of that etched look and feel, we have, who is now Uncle Todd in a variety of sort of poses and
Mhm.
actions, live, still, etc. So it gives us a lot more flexibility.
Well, he does look like someone who would actually be helping out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I
He's
think
going to
you
give you a
nailed
hard
it.
time for sure,
Yes,
but he's going to
yeah.
come through. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe tell a few jokes while he's doing it,
Yeah.
and yeah, but no, I think you nailed it with that. So, well, now that we got the background on the name, tell us about the company itself and the products that you have.
Yeah, so I founded the company just a little over 2 years ago, back in the start of 2023. My background most recently has been in the e-commerce space, product development. I ran a fairly large brand in the pet cleaning space, and so when I was leaving the corporate world and I was going on my own, I was looking for products that I thought would do well, that I could launch relatively quickly in e-commerce on Amazon. And so I was doing a lot of niche exploration, looking at where there were gaps in the market, where there were sort of stale brands that were consistent sellers. And so we really wanted to create more of a disruptive new age brand in the home cleaning and maintenance space.
Hmm.
We all know, having purchased products in the past, been down physical and digital shelves, Amazon, big box retail, etc., that a lot of the cleaning brands you see today are the same exact brands you've seen for 20, 30, 40, sometimes up to 50 plus years. And the visual appeal and the way the products are merchandised, how they're made, their ingredients, et cetera, have really not changed a tremendous amount practically ever. So I thought there was an opportunity to sort of thread the needle between works super well and is inexpensive, and the other end of the spectrum, which is works okay, is expensive, but is all natural, organic, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So you have like typical household cleaning products, and then you have, expensive, premium, organic, all natural
Hmm.
products, which sometimes don't have the efficacy because they're
Hmm.
made with, less harsh ingredients and things like that. So we're really trying to be smack in the middle, right? We don't want to be the most expensive product that's claiming every sort of eco-friendly, planet-friendly claim in the world, almost to the point of just, bottled water that you're spraying and hoping it's cleaning your table or your floor, et cetera. but also not one that isn't going to be safe for pets or kids. Accidents happen, spills
Hmm.
happen, etc. So we really focus on launching products that have really high efficacy and solve everyday problems, but also are eco-friendly and better for the environment, better for household members, pets, etc. Whenever possible, right? So
Hmm.
not the eco-friendliest in all dimensions, but also not the harshest. And we're trying to find that middle price point, right? So you can buy, Lysol or Windex for $3 a bottle. We'll never be $3 a bottle,
Hmm.
but we're also not going to be $25 a bottle for a window cleaner or floor cleaner. So we've got quite a range of products now, but they all follow that ethos that is better for the environment, but at an affordable price point that we think sort of there's nobody filling that sort of middle gap right now.
Okay, and we kind of see that in the beauty industry too, right? You have efficacy versus sustainability, and clean beauty, and trying to hit that balance. So, could you walk us through the individual products and what they do?
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of them now. So I'll just talk about sort of the
Yeah.
ones that we're seeing, the most traction that we've launched relatively recently. Well, our first product is a septic tank treatment pod. So they're
Hmm.
small pods akin to a laundry pod or a pod that you use in the dishwasher. But it's really focused. It's got 2 billion CFU of bacteria in this small 2 ounce pod.
Hmm.
And if you're on a septic tank, essentially when you're on septic your septic tank operates similar to how a human gut operates, right?
Hmm.
If you're on septic, every time you run the dishwasher, run the sink, run the shower, all the waste, the water, the food scraps, etc., are going down the drain ultimately into the septic tank, which is below your front or backyard.
Hmm.
And septic tanks are their own sort of ecosystems, right? They
Yeah.
break down waste and they leach whatever's left out into the yard, which most people or a lot of people don't know, which is totally fine and natural and good. But
Hmm.
actually, during COVID, especially, we were all using so many antibacterial soaps, antibacterial dish soap, Lysol, Purell, because we were all trying to
Hmm.
sanitize and sterilize everything in our house, guests coming and going, etc. But unfortunately, those harsh chemicals, bleaches, antibacterial products all go down eventually. You wash your hands and the residue goes down the drain, et cetera, et cetera. You wash the countertops, the dishes, what have you. They all go down in the septic tank and they actually kill the good bacteria that is
Hmm.
breaking down the waste in your septic tank. So it's almost like when a human takes, a prescription, pill for something, right? If you have an
Yeah,
antibiotic,
antibiotics. Yeah.
yeah, you take an antibiotic, you're killing the good sort of bacteria in your stomach, which temporarily is fine, right? And a lot of people will use probiotics or, eat yogurt, dairy to replenish that. It's sort of the same thing with your septic tank. You put all those harsh chemicals down there, you're
Hmm.
killing the good bacteria and you're not letting it break down its waste. So,
Hmm.
long story short, these products are basically a all natural bacteria that's grown, special strains for the septic system, and you flush them down your toilet once a month. They put that good bacteria in, and it's a great preventative maintenance measure for that system. So that was our first product. That's the product that we are now in over 2,000 Walmart locations
Hmm.
across the U.S. Thank you to RangeMe Walmart Open Call program, which was amazing and frankly changed the trajectory of our company in a very meaningful way. And then we've got a handful of other products. We've got a really awesome floor cleaner, which is a sheet-based product. So I don't know if you're familiar with laundry sheets, not dryer sheets, but laundry sheets, the
Hmm.
detergent that
Yep.
dissolves. We took that same technology and we adapted it for floor cleaning. So you put it into a bucket, put a gallon of water in, and then you're ready to mop, clean floors, etc. So
Hmm.
no plastic packaging, no plastic bottles, really super lightweight, really space effective if you live, in a smaller house or an apartment or anything of that nature.
New York
Exactly.
apartment here. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great product. We have the same for toilet cleaning. So you take one of these sheets, you drop it in the toilet, it dissolves in seconds. You brush it and you flush it. So no heavy plastics, no
Hmm.
heavy liquids. Really, pretty eco-friendly, and much more so in terms of shipping and all that. We have a shoe deodorizer spray, which you mentioned. We have a sports equipment deodorizer spray for things that can't be machine washed. So we're
Hmm.
really expanding the line now, but we're excited about the products that we launch. All solve problems, all high efficacy, and all make sacrifices in terms of being more eco-friendly whenever possible.
That's great. That's awesome. That's a nice lineup of products. I mean, you could basically take care of everything you need with those, from the closets to the floors to the bathroom. inside the closets and the shoes. So it runs the gamut. So, and it sounds like it's good for a small apartment like mine. Doesn't take up that much space. I like the sheet idea, for the floor cleaning. I mean, that's great. Just put it in a bucket and you're good to go. So now you mentioned, so you were in the corporate world and now you're an entrepreneur. Why did you want to make that change?
Good question. So I was in the corporate world for a long time. Started my career off in a large consulting firm, doing strategy, operations, mergers and acquisitions. Ventured into the tech space. Spent a while at Facebook, or currently known as Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. And then I got into e-commerce. I went and managed a large brand for one of the larger e-commerce Amazon aggregators. And I learned so much over, sort of all, call it three chapters
Hmm.
of my corporate career. But ultimately I come, both my parents are entrepreneurs, small business owners, and I've just always had that entrepreneurial
Yeah.
spirit and excitement in me. I've started little business along the way. And I just came to a point, in my career where, thanks to my wife and her work in the corporate world, had the ability to sort of take a risk, take a chance, and,
Hmm.
and go and start something that I was confident would have at least, moderate success. And if it didn't, I can always go back and get another job in the corporate world, right?
Yep.
And take a year to explore and see this through. So it was a confluence of things. It was kind of the right skill set, the right time, for me, for my family, to take that leap. And I'm, couldn't be more thankful that I did. Since leaving the corporate world a couple of years ago, I started Uncle Todd's, which you're talking about. I also bought a former Shark Tank brand that's totally separate. That's, both I'm running day to day and have a small team that supports me. And it's been awesome. And it just every day I'm excited to sit down at my desk and do work, and just build the company for my team, for me, for my family, and ultimately try to solve a problem and add products that are meaningful and add value to customers' lives. So that's sort of the short story, but it's been an awesome journey. And thanks again to some of our successes and our introduction to Walmart. The company is on a really great trajectory, and I'm really excited about it.
That's great. That's awesome. So, what are some of the exciting parts of entrepreneurship, and what are the challenges, or the less exciting parts that you don't like?
Yeah, so starting with the positive, I mean, everything you put in, you get out, right? When you're an
Hmm.
entrepreneur and it's your business, your products, your company, no work is really wasted, right? I'm sure most people can empathize at, any size of organization, but an organization that's got a decent number of employees, products, service lines, what have you, there's a lot of time that you spend in meetings. There's a lot of time that you spend in weekly meetings, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, postmortems, prep meetings, forecasting meetings, performance reviews. All these times when you look at your calendar, and I had many, 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 years that my calendar was just booked from 9 to 5. You're barely making time to go to the
Hmm.
bathroom or have lunch because you're just 30-minute meeting, 30-minute meeting, 30-minute meeting. And frankly, Joe, to have a calendar that is, frankly, this was the first scheduled meeting of my day. And for those who don't know, it's, after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that feels great. You're not living
Hmm.
and dying by your calendar. You're sort of doing work and driving impact
Hmm.
that's ultimately, at least you feel at the time, is value driving for the brand. So it just, you get out what you put in. You have to be motivated. You have to be disciplined, but you're not living by somebody else's sort of regimented schedule and expectations. And granted, as you grow, some of those things I mentioned become a necessary evil and just part of doing
Hmm.
business. But
Yeah.
being a small company and an entrepreneur, you really get to spend a majority of your time working on things that you feel are
Hmm.
exciting, that are going to drive impact and are going to make a difference. So that's sort of broad strokes what I think the positives are. The negatives, I mean, listen, any mistake that made, any problem that happens, any phone call or email that comes in the middle of the night or whatever, it's on you. You
Hmm.
I can't go away for a week and put an out of office reply up and say, hey, I'll get back to you on the 2nd of April or the 6th of April when I return to office. There's just no such thing. My
Hmm.
phone's ringing, somebody text calls, emails, there's a problem, they have a question. And so I think there's that challenge, right? It's really difficult to unplug. It's there's nobody to sort of push problems to. You know, if you have a team, you can sort of delegate tasks and that,
Hmm.
but there's really not, the buck stops with you. And I mean that literally and figuratively. You know, we had an issue recently with some shipment and some freight that got lost, on a long journey and it was lost in the rails in the US between Los Angeles and Chicago. And I'll be honest, I lost at least one night and probably a couple partial nights of sleep about it. Um, and if you're in a corporate world and that kind of thing happens, does it suck? Yes. Is it a problem? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's not going to impact your reputation, your
Yeah.
brand, your bank account the way it
Hmm.
does if you're an entrepreneur. So, I'll summarize the challenge as any problem as an entrepreneur that your company faces or that your customers have with your products or your services or what have you. It's a 10 on your Richter scale and probably not even on their Richter scale. But that's
Hmm.
just that's just the pride and the ownership and the attitude that you have
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, and that can be stressful.
But it sounds like it's, two sides of the same coin, right? It's what you love about it is the ownership, but the challenging part is the
Right.
ownership. So it's
Well
either
said.
way. But I guess the overall, that freedom that you have, that every decision is yours,
Yep.
that is, really means a lot. It's really meaningful. So now you mentioned you have a team, but I'm sure you didn't always have a team. So when did you know it was time to make that first hire? And what role was that first hire?
Yeah, so it's a good question. It's an easy answer, thankfully. I am not an Excel person. And I mean that literally and also just like forecasting, being really diligent about figures, about running formulas, pivot tables, demand planning is huge when you sell physical products. How many of these items did I sell,
Hmm.
in the last 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, year, et cetera. How many do I think I will sell in the next 730, et cetera, et cetera. And then working backwards on, okay, if I need products on this date, and I need to order these six components, and they have to get manufactured and shipped and moved and all that stuff. It just becomes this like monster exercise of what we typically call as a demand planning,
Hmm.
forecasting, inventory, purchasing, et cetera, et
Hmm.
cetera. And it's just not something I'm excited by. It's not something I'd like to
Hmm.
do. I mean, my background is really like strategy, sales, and marketing.
Hmm.
And those things are quite different than like data sets, analytics, and
Hmm.
forecasting. And so when you have like one or two SKUs and your supply chain is fairly compact and your sales aren't that large, it's manageable, right? Because you
Hmm.
can you can under order and be okay, you can over order and be okay, and if you over order, it's not going to cost you a lot of money, right? If I order
Hmm.
an extra 1,000 items, like we're not talking to have to go out and seek financing or raise money, right? But when your business grows and those sort of like over
Hmm.
ordering, under ordering grow and they become real financial challenges or stresses, that's a problem. So my first hire was my director of supply chain operations, and
Hmm.
she is her skill set and her background, her excitement is in all those things where mine isn't, right? She's an
Hmm.
excellent at forecasting, building out spreadsheets, formulas, looking at componentry, factoring in ship times and lead times and errors and plus or minus 10%, 15%, looking back at historical data and trying to figure out what that means for seasonality. And so she was my first hire, and she's been with the company as my first employee for a while now, and I'm so glad I hired her. And I think what I've learned is really to hire ahead of the growth and ahead of when you need it. And so I'm trying to do that where we've got a couple more folks that we're adding to the team
Hmm.
that we're in interview process now. And for some of those roles, it's not that I could use them 100% today, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm burned out and the rest of my team is burned out because we didn't hire in time. And it
Hmm.
takes time, right?
That's actually a great point. It's like, yeah, you don't, especially if you're all burned out and you're all maxed out, it's going to be harder to hire that quality person than if you plan ahead and it's like you want that timing so that they come on board just when you're poised to make that growth. So
Yep.
that's great. And I'm the same way. I am not a spreadsheet guy. Other people are much better at managing things like that. But I love the forward facing stuff. I love getting out there. I love shooting videos. I love writing content. I mean, that's what I like doing. So, but fortunately, there are other people that don't like that stuff, but like in your case, they like doing the organization and the planning and all that, which is works perfectly. So, awesome. So tell us a little bit about your experience with RangeMe and the open call, especially. Congratulations on that success, by the way. But yeah, tell us
Thank you.
about that and how it's going.
Yeah, so I don't remember how I got in the loop with RangeMe. I'm honestly trying to remember. Oh, I think I know what it was. I think when my last sort of corporate world running this brand, I think we were trying to get our products in front of certain retailers, and the
Hmm.
response we got through email or form submission on their website was, "Hey, we use RangeMe, right? So
Yeah.
like, here's a link, sign up for RangeMe, and you can basically submit your products for our teams to review, etc."
Hmm.
So when I broke out on my own, I developed my first few products. I was like, oh yeah, Range Me, like, it's a way to get in front of, wholesale buyers, merchants, etc. So shortly after launching, I think my first SKU, which was our septic pods,
Hmm.
I signed up for a free Range Me account. So I was in your sort of like email thread, and I think I uploaded my product, and I think you can only have one product as a free member, or maybe one or two. So I did whatever I could. I created a little brand page, whatever I could within the free subscription. Granted, I'm a startup. I'm trying to conserve capital.
Hmm.
So like free membership, why not, right? It didn't
Yeah.
take all that long to create a profile. So I did. And I typically, like most, have the ethos of you sort of get what you pay for, right? It's a free membership. How much
Yeah.
am I going to get from it? But it doesn't take a
Hmm.
lot of time and it's free, so I might as well
Hmm.
do it.
Hmm.
So um, a couple months later, I got an email, through your email, your regular email communications. Hey, Walmart open call, made in the U.S. suppliers, seeking new suppliers. It's got to be made in the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. Click here to apply. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm made in the U.S. I'm a small business. My product would do well at Walmart given the opportunity, I think. So I clicked the button. I filled out the application. Maybe it was a 20, 30-minute exercise. I can't
Hmm.
remember. And I hit submit and frankly, like sort of forgot about it, right? I hit submit, I moved on with my life, working on other stuff, launching products. And then one day I got an email, I think it came through RangeMe that was like, hey, you've been accepted to have a meeting with Walmart, from your application for the open call program. And to be honest, Joe, I was pretty skeptical. I was like, okay, like maybe they just need to tick the box. Maybe they have to take a certain amount of calls.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's just with some person at Walmart who's, in charge of talking to new suppliers. And, I was sort of skeptical, but I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, of course, gladly take the meeting. So I won't put her on the spot, but I had a meeting with the merchant in my department at Walmart, and we had a great conversation. She was excited about the packaging of our product and some of the reasons to believe and some of the benefits over some of the brands that are out there currently. And I think I asked her transparently. I was like, I'm just curious, like, why did you want a meeting with us? Like, what excited you about our product that to
Hmm.
to have you click yes or accept the meeting? And she was just like, I think that the packaging is different and, it's a different approach and it really speaks to the consumer and what they're looking for. And I think it would resonate on shelf and
Hmm.
with our customers. And so I was stoked about it. I mean, I was just happy to have the meeting. I was happy to get the email. I was happy to have the meeting. It was sort of a pinch me moment as an entrepreneur. And then, one thing led to the next. And I have experience selling into retail in the last company. So I did know, how Walmart works and what they expect. So I was a little bit more familiar than the average
Hmm.
sort of entrepreneur selling into retail. And so we went through the process, and ultimately I got a proverbial, or I guess a real golden ticket, which is when you go from the U.S. open call program with Walmart to a shelf opportunity. So we launched in about 600 stores back in September, and it's been a success since. And we added another SKU, our toilet cleaner sheet, about a week ago. And we'll be adding another SKU in June and poised for a pretty meaningful store expansion.
That's great. And that is the real success. I mean, getting on the shelf first is great, but being successful enough to add more SKUs and expand, that really shows that it resonated with their shoppers.
Yeah.
So that's, real testament to the quality of the products that you have. And it's great. And then from there it just grows. It just grows. And that's the first one. And I know you're in conversations with another retailer, or like you have a meeting coming up as well from another one.
Yeah, yeah, we have another buyer pitch in a little less than a month, 3, 4 weeks from now, which is another great opportunity, sort of
Hmm.
large retailer that would be sort of core demographic for our product.
Hmm.
Um, and then we continue. I mean, I'm on RangeMe, at least a couple times a week, looking at what opportunities I can apply for, and to see who's sort of looking at our brand and looking at
Hmm.
our profile to see if we can start a conversation. So, and I did admittedly sign up for the premium subscription, but for all you brand owners and entrepreneurs, I didn't do that until maybe 2 months ago. Like I've
Hmm.
my opportunity with Walmart and US Open Call program and RangeMe came when I had a free subscription. I think I had maybe one, maybe two SKUs loaded in because that's the sort of gated amount that you can have. So I did not pay RangeMe, ECRM, anything to ultimately get,
Hmm.
in front of the Walmart buyer and get the shelf. I have since paid because, you get an account like Walmart and, spending not a lot of money, but, some money, right? Makes it all worth it, right? If I get
Hmm.
one more account or zero more accounts, RangeMe has benefited my business, and is definitely a platform worth investing in. And again, it's not a major investment, so I think it's well worth its money.
Yeah, definitely you got ROI from it. I
Yep.
mean, obviously free, anything above $1 is ROI, but I mean, I think that's a great point that you bring up that yes, the free range me is not BS. It is an opportunity there as well. But now that you're premium and you mentioned some of the things that I was really glad to hear you talk about is that you're actually leveraging the data. You're looking at the data, seeing who is, visiting your profile and tapping into all that information that's available for premium members.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I go on, like I said, every week and I'm looking at which retailers are having upcoming line reviews that might be
Hmm.
relevant to products. I'm looking at, some do sort of just open sort of
Hmm.
opportunities in certain departments or where there's a
Yep.
fit. I'll apply. Like I said, it's not a time consuming exercise,
Yeah.
put 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and just making sure you have the right talking points and you're, positioning your products in the right way relative to that retailer. And you hit send or you hit submit, and
Hmm.
you get an email back at some point saying, hey, they want to talk or they want to talk. But it's not a lot of time and it's not a
Hmm.
lot of energy. And to get an opportunity in front of these retailers can truly change the trajectory of your business. And I'm speaking from experience. And so it's been a huge unlock for me. Frankly, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you're in Walmart. That's amazing. I can't believe it." Blah blah blah. How'd you do it? It must have been from your previous connections and when you sold in the retail.
Hmm.
I was like, believe it or not, it's not. Believe it or not, it's because I signed up for this platform and free membership and submitted to this program and got in the meeting, and the rest is sort of history. So it's kind of a hard to believe situation, but it's the truth.
But I think you bring up a good point in that, so just for everybody out there watching, so he's talking about some of the immediate opportunities that we have on the RangeMe page. That's when a retailer is looking for to do a review of a certain category or a theme or something. And I know last year we did over 400 of them for retailers. This year we're going to blow that number away. But when you apply for them, sometimes you have to answer some questions. The buyers will give us pre set questions so that everybody's got to answer when they submit their application. So it will take anywhere up to a half an hour to submit that application. But, if you're a starter or a premium member, like Walmart Open Call is free. Everybody can access that. But a lot of the immediate opportunities, you have to be starter, which is only $99 a year, or premium, which is 1,400 and change a year. But those or above can actually submit to those immediate opportunities. And yeah, it's a little time investment, but the payoff can be good. Plus, it's targeted. You're applying for something that's household cleaners. That's what you do. So they're looking at that exact moment. So the timing wise, and I know they do a lot. I have seen a lot of household cleaning and chemical type reviews on there. So good opportunities for you. So what's next?
Keep trucking. My major focus, personally is developing and launching new products and then expanding our distribution channels. So
Hmm.
Walmart's been an amazing partner to us. We're seeing a lot of success. We want to continue growing our partnership with them. But also we want to capitalize on that success. And frankly, I think we've proven that not only does our merchandising, our packaging, our reasons to believe and the key features of our products resonate online, Amazon, etc., but they resonate on shelf. And I think they break
Hmm.
up the monotony of what is otherwise a fairly, an assortment on shelf that's fairly awash in blue and green cleaning
Hmm.
colors with toilets and sinks and pipes and all that kind of stuff, right? And our packaging is quite a bit different. So For me, it's launching new products. We launch 1 to 2 products a quarter, and we do so on Amazon because it's something we can do quickly.
Hmm.
And then we try to take our hero products and our winning products and bring those to retail customers so we can get those in front of more consumers, especially given that a lot of customers, like myself, are still buying household cleaning tech products in brick and mortar establishments, grocery, big box, etc.
Hmm.
And so ultimately, we want to have our products wherever customers want to buy them. And for our category, retail is a really important and critical piece of that.
That's great. That's great. And I'm going to get to meet you in person at the ECRM household cleaning session in May, which they're doing Range Me Live. So that's going to be awesome. We'll get to actually hang out in person. And
Yep.
yeah, the packaging is great. So I'll definitely I'll share some examples of the packaging with everybody. But it definitely will stand out on a shelf, especially among the traditional colors and styles that are on the shelf in that category. So awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in May and good luck in your upcoming meetings.
Thanks so much, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.